Hello, and welcome to the Industry Innovators Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Cornett. I'm the founder and CEO of SC Innovate, an AI consulting firm helping clients with every step of their AI journey. AI is changing the game in the political arena. From monitoring public opinion to using predictive analytics for election outcomes, and for policy analysis and development, there are numerous opportunities to utilize AI in the political sector. Joining me today is Tracy Saad. Tracy is a seasoned expatpreneur, creative strategist, and mentor to fellow entrepreneurs. She's the founder of Comments Games, a political gamification studio designing game based tools to engage and educate people in politics completely bias free. Her company is creative, amazing, innovative products, and I'm very excited to speak with her about innovation in politics. Please join me in welcoming Tracy Saad to the Industry Innovators Podcast. Welcome, Tracy, to the Industry Innovators Podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, I'm very excited to have you on to discuss how you're using innovation and creativity to help educate the public about politics. You are an expatpreneur, a creative strategist, and a mentor to entrepreneurs. You're also the founder of Comments Games, which is a political gamification studio creating just fantastic solutions. So I love if you could give us some more information about your business and about your solutions and how you're applying innovation and creativity within your own business.
Sure. Okay. So Commence Games honestly started with me being one of the main avatars of the business because I also used to hate politics. I used to not like to interact with it. I was the kid who used to turn off the TV whenever politics came on. And one day, having been the lead for of a the comms lead for a political awareness campaign, I realized there was more to it than just telling people what needs to be said. And we needed to change the way we interacted with politics and change the way people were able to approach politics in order for people to learn and understand. And everything out there is biased towards whatever side there is. There are a million sides to politics. And unfortunately, we started seeing politics as this tool where people are just fighting for their part of the pie, where politics was essentially created as a way to acknowledge all of the differences, bring them all around one table, and get that in order for people to actually succeed within one territory. Right. And so I figured, okay, let's start with tools. Let's start to figure out a way for people to actually interact with politics differently. And on a random Friday night, I got the idea to make a political game so that maybe one day we wouldn't be scared of it. And that was actually the first sentence I'd ever said out loud about Commence Games.
Wow.
Safe to say, everyone thought I had lost my shit. But next few months, worked on it, launched it. We sold out within 8 months. Here I am today. We're 5 games in. Team's growing at the moment, which is good. And we're really trying to kind of find different ways to implement strategies and not only work with people like you or me, but also work with actual bigger entities so that they can get to their audience in a more interactive format and in a way where people can actually engage and not just have it be a workshop where someone's just talking at you, you know?
Wow, I love that. I love that. Such a unique take on solving such a complicated issue, right? I think you hit the nail on the head. This almost like, polarity that we see, right, with different, political systems. And you're really making it, your approach is really light and fun and really a way for us to all to come together and have a game night and really, kind of bond over these issues, which is just an amazing format to bringing people together. So what are some of the challenges you may have faced when implementing these solutions or when your games kind of came onto the market, like, how are those received or what are some of those challenges that you may have faced?
It's a constant struggle. Let's be very honest. It's a constant struggle because we have to always kind of go backwards to the actual reason behind the business in order to sell anything. which can be a very lengthy process. But we always end up using every person's reaction to what we do as part of our pitch, and it became a standard for us. So anytime we say, oh, we're a political gamification studio, and people's eyes would just glitch and they'd be like, wait, what just happened? Or they'd answer with the sentence of, oh, so you're telling us to just avoid politics at all costs. That's what you do, right? Or they just try to say, for example, like, oh, hey, let's just not talk about the subject. Let's just do something else instead. And so every one of those sentences is now integrated within the way we sell our game. And it's been a bit of a struggle because we avoid politics, even if everything is political and every single decision we make on our day-to-day life is political, whether we acknowledge it or we even know it or not. I didn't even know that some of my decisions were political before I actually started learning about it. But so it's a bit of a struggle and it takes a bit longer to kind of get to what we want. But that was kind of something we knew from the start. And it's also one of the reasons why we offer free tools along with our paid ones, so that people are gaining access to as many of the resources as possible, so that they're learning and they're growing with us, rather than just saying, okay, no, I can't do this because I can't afford it, or because I'm not sure if I want to invest at the moment. So that's why we offer a bit of the different tools, etc., as a way to kind of show it to them. It's also why we host events, so that they're experiencing it on the ground, seeing us play with them. And it's a way to really kind of engage people and show them that it can be more than just hiding behind a screen and just scrolling on social media.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I could certainly see you running into some of those challenges, but it sounds like your approach has been really remarkable of providing those solutions and providing an equal platform for folks to come together and be and have access to those solutions. And your solutions, right, are available on a global scale, right? You know, I know
Yes.
you're located in Paris, right? But for us in the US, right, we could still like leverage your
Yes.
solutions and learn about the political system that we have in the
Yeah.
US, correct?
So that's the thing. The games are not just based on one side or another side of politics, or even a different, or any of the different ideologies or the formations of how politics is implemented within different countries. Politics is essentially based on policy issues that are brought to the table, and
Right.
how that is going to be strategized against to try and make that scenario work in every person's advantage. That's the essentials of it. And so that's how we've been able to kind of redirect our conversation from a localized one to an international one that allows us to really kind of play between different countries at the same time. And I've seen it happen firsthand, and I still pinch myself every time something like this happens. But so we've had a table with people from Zimbabwe, the US, Lebanon, Vietnam, and different countries. We were all sitting together and playing the game, and everyone was able to not only see themselves within the game, see their different countries within the game, but also kind of link it to where they now live, because they were also expats. And so you kind of see this switch within the way people are interacting with politics. And by the end of it, they end up challenging each other and get more and more comfortable. And that's the beauty of it. Like, they're able to analyze, strategize, look into the games. And we've been able to kind of create different types of games for every level of political knowledge. So it takes you step by step through the journey, so you feel safe all throughout.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's such a great way of bringing different cultures together, right? And talking about different ideas. You know, you could, be living across the globe, right? But still being able to come together and have these sort of game nights and really just understanding and finding that common ground. It's such an amazing accomplishment that you've managed to do through your games. That's amazing. So let's talk about AI. So I know that's how we originally got connected was through an AI event. There seem to be so many opportunities for AI in your industry, from monitoring public opinion, predicting election outcomes, and policy analysis and development. And then I'm also hearing there's a hyper focus around making sure we're using AI for humanity's best interests, and we're
Yep.
ensuring that these solutions are really being used in an ethical manner. So, can you speak to how you're seeing AI making a big impact in politics and maybe some use cases of when we shouldn't use AI?
Sure. Yeah, so we've started integrating AI within our process, not only in our backend, but also in our front end, with an actual chatbot to help people understand and analyze on politics, whether that be understanding what's happening currently, or the actual policy behind something, or what's happening in a different country. But our hardest and the thing that had us actually redo, so a chatbot is essentially the easiest thing for us to develop an AI, right? No, not when it comes to politics, because we had to rework our back end about 100 times, stop everything, crash everything, take it backwards, and fix everything to make sure there were no biases to any side, whether that be on a country, on a racial, on anything and everything had to be reworked because we noticed there were a lot of question marks on how can I say this and be politically correct? There were too many there were too many question marks on the AI's bias towards melatonin, what I like to call melatonin and skin color. There was issues with AI on a sense that it would not give every country or every people the right to live, to freedom.
Mm.
And
Wow.
so whenever we would ask the same question but change the country as a test, it
Mhm.
wouldn't do the right thing. And so
Oh,
this is where I go back and I look at everything that you said, which is how is AI being integrated in politics? And yes, we do need AI. We do need AI in humanity because it can fast track a lot of different things, which is something that is very needed on a humanitarian front.
yeah.
But if there's already a bias in AI and it's based on partial data, not all of the world, but half of the world's perspective, and when you're seeing how that is already affecting people on a genuine human basis, how are we going to implement that with an AI and not have it end up in the same situation
Right.
that we're seeing hate take people, which ends up in wars and other situations like that, whether that be civil or non-civil. But it takes us into wars, it takes us into two different situations. And so we do need AI, but we need to work on the back end, the data feeding of AI, reviewing the actual information, actually giving it access to the rest of the world before we actually implement it within politics. Because analyzing a policy from one side is like asking the right to analyze it from the left's perspective.
Mm, I see that. Yeah.
Mm.
Definitely, I see that. Yeah, so you're really having to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and really just making sure you're plugging out and like because right, because your game is again on a global scale. So you're
Yeah,
making sure like that the rules and the logic are applying for all these different countries and the policies are making sense. So you're really that makes sense. You're having to really dig deep
yeah,
into the back end and your logic and the data to make sure you're really cleaning out and making this as completely bias free as possible. I think that's so needed, it sounds like, right? And this arena that you're in, right? And humanity and making sure we're not skewing anyone or making anyone think a certain way or believe a
yeah.
certain way,
Mhm.
right? And making sure we're really leveling the playing field. So that makes
We're
perfect
never,
sense.
we're never going to achieve anything if we're not able to see everyone's point of view as level as the same one.
Yeah, fantastic. No, that absolutely makes sense. That's such an incredible mission, right? I mean, and I think you said, right, your mission is to bridge different cultures through creative strategy and political play, which
Yeah,
I just love this approach that you're making and making politics fun and enjoyable to learn through
yeah.
gamification, but also just bridging that cultural gap and just making sure we're all on the same page, we're all speaking the same language, which is such an incredible feat that you've accomplished throughout your products and your solution.
Yeah, I've been trying my best. It's also what I do as a person, given that I'm the founder of a couple of businesses. It's part of what I do. And as an expat, I have to bridge culture in my day-to-day life. I've had to learn different cultures, adapt to different other cultures. I've had to kind of learn multiple languages and so on. And that's just one small part of being able to bridge different cultures and operating with anyone from anywhere.
Wow. Yeah, you really are, I think, a global person, right? A person of the world, right? So you and that really
Trying
comes
to
out.
be.
Yes, and that really comes out with how you live your life and with your work as well within your solutions, which is just it's so fantastic you're able to carry that thread all the way through. Do you have any predictions for AI and innovation, the future of innovation in politics, maybe short term or long term? And speak more again about how the utilization of this technology can really just help bring us closer together as a society. It sounds like you're really making great strides with your products and solutions, but what are some other ways that this technology can help bring us closer together?
It can bring us, honestly, very in the simplest form. It can help us understand different things. It can help explain, simplify, kind of give us all of the information we need so that we're able to move forward. On a short term, I see it definitely playing a role in the US politics and the elections that are coming up. We're seeing a lot of how that is playing out worldwide. We're seeing the way the US is involved in different countries and different things, and we're seeing how people are kind of pushing for their own say in the matter and not just having part of their rights met, but all of them. And so that's very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how the US is going to implement AI and if it's going to be a public announcement or a low-key behind-the-scenes effort, and how they're going to implement that or how they're going to deal with that lack of bias or that their lack there of bias-free kind of research and analysis. That's the right sentence.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, because the US is very diverse. It's a country based on immigration. It's entirely based on immigration. And so there's about 100 cultures within one country in the US.
Yeah.
And so we need to be able to see how that is going to take form within the US elections, especially in 2024 when things are going back and forth a lot in the US. So short term, this is the first kind of bigger approach integrated within actual systems that we know of in politics or we interact more of. Yeah, I
That's
think the long term, I'm not sure how it's going to come forward. Honestly, because I'm not sure if there's going to be a crash first before we see the long term.
Mm, I see. Yes, I see. Right. Well, there's so many of these innovative technologies, right, coming out today. I mean, there's got to be thousands of AI solutions out there, right? Are they all gonna stay? Or they, that's definitely something that we're have to take a, be really mindful of in the AI community,
Exactly.
in the
Yeah.
industry, all these different, tools and how I love what you said, like how the US is thinking about AI and these solutions. I've, been fascinated with how other countries are adopting these solutions, and Europe has done a fantastic job with the EU AI Act, right? Really preserving and protecting humanity, for these solutions, right? So it's with the US, we haven't rolled out that, comprehensive, AI regulation. And I think a lot of that's going to come down to the election as well, who gets voted into office and how the US moves forward with adopting these AI solutions
Yeah.
going forward. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. I think this election is going to be
Definitely.
big turning point for sure. And then but hopefully, right, with the games that you have, right, will be really helpful for the US. I encourage you all, if you're listening in the US, to go check out Tracy's games and get familiar with politics and help you before we get to the election booths coming up here soon. So well, thank you so much, Tracy. I love this conversation. I always learn so much from you. I mean, you're just a fantastic human, and the work that you're doing is just so fantastic. I'm always blown away whenever I get to talk to you. It's very apparent to me that you're incredibly passionate about your work, which it's so amazing to see. And I feel your passion coming through, which I love so much. So can you
But
tell?
honest, you're answering a question that I've always had is that am I able to kind of deliver the right message and the right energy, especially when it comes to something as complicated as politics? Hmm.
No, you definitely do. I mean, your passion and energy really comes through when you're talking about these. You're just a fantastic speaker to these types of topics. So I always love to get a chance to talk to you about AI and politics and all these things. Well, can you tell our listeners a little bit more about, what you're working on now and how they can connect with you and keep up with you and take advantage of your games as well?
Of course. So right now, what we're doing is we've had our AI chatbot officially live on a beta access. So only the people who have us on social media know of it and have access to it. But we're finally launching it publicly, which means anyone anywhere is able to access it in any language ever. Uh, And we can confirm 99.9% bias free, because I can never say 100%. And we've been testing it out a lot. So I'm really happy that people are like, okay, I've been testing it for like an hour trying to get it to say something biased, but it's not. So this is finally going live, free for all, 100% free. And 99% bias free. But we also have our game Off Limits, which is a card game, essentially a strategic card game based all on politics and strategizing for actual policies and how to kind of win over a different policy. And so this is live, and it's currently online on our website, and we're working to get it to different stores. So if you want to order on our website, please do. Anywhere in the world. It's trilingual at the moment, and we're working to add more languages and more variations to the languages. And we're working to get it in actual stores and coffee shops all around the world. I'm aiming high with some of the biggest stores in the US and other countries as well. But yeah, so check it out on commence.games. There's access to all of the different tools, some free, some paid, and just enjoy politics and try to experience it differently. And every order you make on our website ends up sending you an actual kind of guide on how to host a political game night at home.
Great.
Even if you have strangers over.
I love that idea of having the family game night talking around politics. I think in the US, the idea of talking about politics around like the Thanksgiving dinner table can be a little scary to think about. So I love that we can use your games now to say, hey, we're all going to talk about this, and we're all going to come together and have a game night, and make it a lot of fun to talk about these different issues. So I love that idea. And I'll definitely include links to all of your websites and materials in the recording of this. So we'll have that available for our listeners. But thank you so much, Tracy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I learned so much from you. Thank you for sharing all of your insights. It's been a really incredible conversation. I know we'll continue to stay connected and keep up with all the great work that you're doing. And thank you again so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It was great talking to you.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this channel and tune in for more interviews with industry innovators. I'm your host, Sarah Cornett. Keep innovating.